Welcome back to the JCPod, partner with Stare Down Sports. Stare Down greatness. It is a nice day here on a Thursday. Very humid Thursday, though. I will say, very humid Thursday. But we got a little bit of NFL stuff to talk about. Couple big news stories, and then we will continue on with the breakdowns that we are doing. We got the rest of the NFC West today, which means we got the Rams and we got the 49ers. I'll be breaking down their schedules, some additions, some people who they lost, all that fun jazz, and then we will get into some of the futures and stuff that I'm looking at for them, or expectations for them next year. I guess that's just the best way to put it. So, before we get into that, let's talk about some quick NFL news because there's a couple stories I'd like to talk about, especially this absolutely wild Terrion Arnold situation that's coming about. So, it sounds like Terrion Arnold is being arrested in connection to a kidnapping and robbery. So, what it sounds like is that the Detroit, basically, from what I understand, Ian Rappaport was on the Pat McAfee show a little bit, and caught a little bit of that interview. He basically made it sound like, so Terrion Arnold got robbed a couple years ago with a bunch of jewelry and everything, and so potentially and these are allegations, by the way, none of this has been fully proven yet, or proven at all, potentially, but basically what it sounds like is Terrion Arnold was basically seeking revenge. So he had some other people do some stuff for him. It all happened around February's time. Those guys got arrested, taken to jail. Now it sounds like they kind of flipped on Terrion Arnold and kind of said like, yeah, he told us to kind of do this. This is how it went down. So that's what it sounds like is going on for Terrion Arnold. There's something that came out where basically said he could potentially spend up to life in prison. I don't know if it's going to get that far. Obviously, I don't even know if he did it or if he did do it to begin with. So, overall, yeah, this sounds like a situation where if he actually did do it, it's going to be pretty serious, and he will definitely have some jail time, which is really going to potentially. I mean, this is a huge blow to he's only 23 years old. He had his whole career in front of him, and man, now you got to deal with this situation, which just sucks for the guy. Just the fact he's even in this situation in general just sucks. But I guess we'll have to see what comes from it because as of right now, the Detroit Lions are without Terrion Arnold, it seems like. I doubt he will be playing unless he's cleared, but we got about 2 months of the season, so there might be some time for stuff to be found out. Kyle Pitts signed a 3-year deal with $54 million, and there's $36 million guaranteed. Obviously, he can earn the rest through incentives. It's the third largest contract for tight ends in NFL history. It puts him behind George Kittle and Trey McBride. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Trey McBride. So George Kittle, Trey McBride, and now Kyle Pitts. So shout out to Kyle Pitts because he's definitely a talented guy. The quarterback situation has been a little bit troubling for him, and the biggest thing is he's only 25 years old, which is just crazy to think about because I forgot genuinely how young he was when he came into the NFL, and he was really young. Terry Pagula helped open up the Bills' new stadium, so it sounds like their stadium's going to be pretty much ready to go by the time the Bills have a home game. So that's going to be awesome to see what the new Bills stadium looks like. Can't wait for that. Really excited for that. The Bengals OC, which is Dan Pitcher. Sorry, I couldn't find his name for a second. He plans to use Joe Burrow under center a lot more, which I think will definitely help out. I think it will help out Joe Burrow a lot more. I mean, a lot of the best quarterbacks in NFL history did a lot from under center. Were able to do gun and center. Going to straight gun all the time definitely hurts the run game, especially. So that's why I think that'll be a really good change for the Bengals and if you go from gun all the time too, that just doesn't throw up the defense enough. It basically just gives the defense one less thing to worry about. So great move to do that for the Bengals. Hopefully it can. I don't know how they're going to help their defense out, but hopefully they'll just maybe score a little bit more. The Jacksonville Jaguars, Britton Strange signed a 3-year deal worth up to $48 million, so another tight end extension, that's a pretty great deal for him. He's starting to carve out a role for himself. He played 75% of the offensive snaps last year. He only missed 5 games because of a quad injury, and then other than that, he was a really big part of the offense, along with that offense is going to be good, man. Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter when you want to throw him in there, Parker Washington, you got Britton Strange, Byshaw Tootin should be taking over running back, and then they think they just drafted a guy. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but that offense is pretty star-studded, to say the least. And the final thing we'll talk about, like I said, there wasn't too much news. We're only about 36 to, 40 hours from last time we talked. Brandon Ayuk came out and said, I'll sign with the Commanders tomorrow if the 49ers cut me, so... Yeah, that sounds like that situation is just not getting any better anytime soon. I mean, I just can't believe it's still happening. And at this point, it sounds like the 49ers aren't going to really get anything from him. I wonder if they're just going to make him sit out the rest of his contract. I genuinely wonder what's going to be the fault from that situation, because there's part of you where you think, like, at a certain point, a squeaky wheel is just so squeaky. It's like, hey, let's just get this guy out of here, man. I'm tired of dealing with him. But also, on the other side of the coin, you kind of look at it like, they definitely want to get some value from him because he's a really talented guy. They did pay him, so they would like for him to play for them. But at this point, I think that's probably out the window. I doubt he's playing for them ever again. But it's just a matter of, are they going to get compensation for him, or is there going to be a situation where he just sits out for a couple of years, then he plays, or we can never see him play football again? Like, what's going to happen with... That's just an insane situation, man. The kid's... I guess the guy's so talented, and he just kind of won't get out of his own way. And whether he might be right, he may not be. He may be right, he may be wrong. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, it is just not a great situation. Time to break down some teams, eh? We got to finish the NFC West, so let's go over the rest of the NFC West. So the first team we're going to talk about today is the Los Angeles Rams, who, if any of you guys are following along with the offseason news and everything, them boys been making some moves, man. They just got Myles Garrett. That's all. I guess we're just jumping into that part. I was going to say who they lost first, but let's go over some coaching changes real quick, and then we'll jump back to where we're saying. Matt LaFleur left to become the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. They lost former assistant head coach and defensive back coach. And then Nate Shieldhouse became their new offensive coordinator. Cliff Kingsbury is going to become assistant to the head coach, which also means he's just going to be helping out with the offense a lot more. That Nate Shieldhouse one was a really, really big one because... Oh, and also Bubba Ventrone is going to be their special teams coordinator. Then you got Robert Woods is going to be their assistant wide receiver coach, which is awesome for him to come back and be able to do that. But the Nate Shieldhouse one was a really big move by the Rams because it sounded like there was a lot of people interested in him becoming the offensive coordinator of their team. So the fact that the Rams were able to keep him was a massive keep by them, because it sounds like he's going to be one of the brighter young names that are coming up for, I guess, just the offensive coordinator position. I mean, young coaches in general, too. He's a name that's getting brought up a decent amount now. There was Davis Webb, I believe, with the Broncos, was another guy who had his name brought up a lot. But by the way, the Rams last year basically were the second best team. I forgot to tell the record. So we're already past that point, but second best team in the NFC, basically. If they could just get over the Seahawks, they probably win the Super Bowl last year. Their team was that talented, and they were talented enough to do it. Some key additions, they lost Tutu Atwell, Darian Kendrick, Kobe Durant, Nick Hampton. They traded Jared Verse away. They also lost... Sorry, that was the Chiefs that lost the quarterbacks. Never mind. Not them. And Robert Havenstein retired, so they have a little bit of a hole to fill in at tackle. But some key new additions, we just talked about it, so I wanted to get to it quickly. They brought in Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns, which is just... took them from plus 800 to win the Super Bowl to plus 550. Like, that big of a move. They also brought in Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson from the Chiefs, which is going to be interesting. Those two guys didn't have the best of years on the Chiefs. They definitely weren't horrible by any means, but not the best of years. But this is a position where the Rams got killed at cornerback last year. They were set up everywhere else. So the fact they were able to get that done is a very big move for them. And one of the biggest offseason moves that could be massive for them, sounds like Aaron Donald potentially is considering coming back in the middle of the season, or potentially for a playoff push. Which, if that's the case, look out, man. I mean, this team's going to be good regardless. I mean, offensively, they kept a lot of the same guys. You got Puka Nacua still there. You got Devontae Adams is still there. Matt Stafford still there. Going into their schedule, though, for this upcoming season, you got home versus 49ers, home for Giants, away Broncos, away Eagles, home versus the Bills, home versus the Cardinals, away for the Raiders, home for the Chargers, away for the Commanders, away for the Cardinals. Week 11 bye, which is pretty damn good for a team making a playoff push, kind of get in the middle of the season. Then you get Packers at home, Chiefs at home, 49ers away, Cowboys at home, Seahawks away, Bucks away, and then you get the Seahawks at home. So 2 Seahawks games in the season. The NFL knows what they're doing, man, setting that up that way. If you look at their over-under for them, their over-under is set at 11.5, minus 115, so basically, and then minus 105. So basically, guaranteed 10-7 is the worst they're going to go, according to the sports book. I don't want to say guaranteed, but according to sports books, they pretty much think that the worst they're going to go is about 10 to 11 wins, basically. So if I had to pick, I would probably take the over. I don't know if I am going to bet this, but this is one that I lean for the fact that, I mean, they're just going to be a good team regardless. I mean, look at their roster, man. Their roster is just studded everywhere at this point. And there's a reason that they're plus 550 to win the Super Bowl, which is probably something I am going to take at this point. I think I don't want to say you'd be dumb not to take it because obviously anybody can win. Injuries are a big part of this, and if Matt Stafford goes down, that could drastically change their season. But assuming this team stays healthy enough, I mean, they just have so much talent. Obviously, we got to worry about the Seahawks a little bit, but I mean, the Seahawks beat them last year, but how do you beat the Rams, man? It was just now that they got Myles Garrett, so the pass rush is going to be even deadlier. If Aaron Donald does come back, see, this is the fun about speculating in the offseason. All this stuff seems great right now, especially some of these futures. And then you get in the middle of the season when a lot more of stuff actually happens, and you're just kind of like, man, why was I just so optimistic and happy in the offseason? But while it is the offseason, we can have these thoughts like this where it's like, man, if Aaron Donald comes back, how do they only win 12 games? They might win 13 or 14 games, but regardless, it's kind of looking like only 5 losses. I mean, I'd say the Seahawks are 1, okay? Name me another loss. Maybe the Chiefs are 2. Assuming Mahomes might be back. They get to play him in the preseason, too, which is really big for that. The fact that they get to play him in the preseason and later. But you got Chiefs to maybe lose to, maybe Bills, maybe Broncos. 49ers also could be a possibility. So there's 5 losses right there. Packers maybe 6. Yeah, and I mean that's just me just kind of looking over teams. I'm like, yeah, if that team is good and a divisional opponent, so I'll give them a loss regardless. So yeah, you look at that and it's like, I think I am going to take the over. I think definitely we talked about last week. I'm definitely not giving out a parlay by any means, but I probably am going to do like a 5, 6, probably 5 leg team over unders. I might drop it by a game or 2 just to make it a little bit safer. Like I think I'm going to take like the Rams or excuse me I might go, Rams. I might take the Rams over like 10.5, maybe Rams over 9.5. Then I'll throw in like we talked about Tuesday, the Arizona Cardinals going to take their under 4.5 because I don't think they win over 4 games. That one's like one of my favorite bets, but it's like minus 190. So definitely want to put it with something else to make the juice a little bit better. But yeah, I think I might end up jumping on this over 11.5 because they're going to be a really good team. It's just a matter of will injuries allow them. That was hard to get out. Will injuries allow them to stay that way? Myles Garrett to have a 5-sack game in the regular season plus 800. Myles Garrett to break the regular season sack record again plus 800. Really no interest in either of those. I mean, he's probably going to have a really good season, but plus 800 feels a little low for both of those because those are really, really hard things to do. Yes, they'll be playing from ahead, but that feels like it's really, really hard. Matt Stafford to have over 4,000 passing yards is something that I think I might pull the trigger on that. He had 4,700 last year, so it's basically, I think I'm going to pull the trigger. Honestly, this was one that I had on the cutting room floor, to be honest. But because I want to take a little less player props this year because we got killed on them last year because of injuries, basically. But he had over almost 5,000 passing yards last year. He's probably going to have 4,000 again. He had passing touchdown wise last year at 46. I don't want to take over 30.5, even though I think there is a good chance that maybe that could happen. A lot of, I think, 10 to 15 of those were Devontae Adams fade balls in the corner. That one, so I'm probably going to stay away from. Kyren Williams to have 1,000 yards, and Kyren Williams to have over 9.5 touchdowns. I'm going to stay away because it does seem like genuinely they are starting to incorporate Blake Corum a lot more in the offense, and he is starting to get A few more looks. Puka Nakua over 1,300 receiving yards. I'm staying away from that. Devontae Adams over 775 is tempting, but the hamstring injury really makes me nervous. Puka over 7.5 touchdowns. That would be the one I'm going to take between him or Devontae Adams if I was going to take one. Don't think per se I am going to take it. Just because, I mean, they're going to score a decent amount of touchdowns, but I don't. And this is like receiving. Puka rushes in some too here and there, so the fact that he could rush in a touchdown or two and that doesn't count unless it's like a hot pass or shovel pass, it's kind of like, yeah, I think I might just end up staying away from that for that reason. Myles Garrett to have over 15.75 sacks. I think that is. I mean, that's a lot of sacks, but pause. No, but in general though, that is a good amount of sacks, but he is talented enough to do it. I think that might be something. I looked at it. I was tempted. I don't think I'm going to pull the trigger on it per se. I think the only thing I really like right now is that Matt Stafford passing yards, just because I like the screen. The screen passes will be big in that, and while I do think they will rely on the run game a decent little bit more, they're still going to go through Matt Stafford, and he's coming off an MVP season where he threw for 4,700 yards. Like I said, for them to win the Super Bowl, they're plus 550. That's probably something I am going to take. Then there'll be the NFC Conference winners plus 295. Division winners plus 100. I do think I'm going to pull the trigger on a division winner. Either way, I am for sure going to probably take that. And yet again, another thing I might give out for fun. That might be my nasty boy for the. You know what? I think I just thought about that on the show. I might pull the trigger on that. There's something I've been thinking about a little bit behind the scenes. Bit off topic, by the way, but this will incorporate into it a little bit. I've been debating doing a nasty boy season long parlay, basically, where 4 or 5 legs. I might honestly just give out the season win total, do a player prop one, and then do a division one. And generally, it could be a thing where, like I said, I do like the Rams. I might just pick. I'm gonna pick it, make it reasonable, make it doable, but I also want the odds to be a little bit longer, so I might take like 1 or 2 long shots in there. Like, honestly, if I was making a division one, I'd probably leave the Rams out if I was trying to actually like just make it, because let's be honest, the Seahawks have a real good chance of running it back. 49ers, they improved their team, so I'm a little bit nervous from each of those teams. But if it's a nasty boy, the Rams would be one of the first ones on the cutting room floor. We'll boost them up a little bit. So that might be something I end up pulling out towards the end of the season just to give out for a season-long thing to root for. Yeah, I think we might be doing that. And because if one of those hits, whoo, that'd be fun. And like I said, we're, 76 days away? We can be a little bit optimistic, have a little bit of fun. And then about 100 days from now, when somebody gets injured, something happens, I can come on the show and be like, that's why we don't do parlays, because they're for losers. And we will now lose. But until that happens, this is going to be a good thought. So, like I said, this is probably something I'm going to do. Rams to win the division at plus 100. That's probably going to be incorporated in there somehow. I'm probably going to end up just taking it into, in general as well. The minus 460 to make the playoffs, so pretty good there, to say the least. The record after the first 5 games, you're looking at plus 175 for 3 wins, plus 210 for 4 wins. So they're looking at the 3 to 4 win range, which, if I had to pick to say 49ers, Giants, Broncos, Eagles, Bills, that is a really, really tough start to the schedule. There's going to be a lot of fun games to watch, but I think they probably do end up winning 3 if I had to guess. So that'd probably be the one I'd take. Probably not going to give it out, to be honest. But, and I'll admit, one thing that does make me really nervous about them a little bit is the fact that them and the 49ers start the season in Australia. So it's kind of like, ooh, a little nerve-wracking. But yeah, like I said, I think the only ones I really am for sure going to take when it comes to the Rams are, we'll be taking the Rams to win the Super Bowl plus 550. We'll be taking Matt Stafford over 4,000 passing yards, and then we'll be taking the Rams to win the division at plus 100. Myles Garrett over 15.75 sacks, so basically him to have 16 sacks. That might be something. I'm tempted to pull the trigger on it. We might do it. That's one that's on the cutting room floor as of right now. And then Puka over 7.5 receiving touchdowns. If I could do like combined touchdowns and maybe move it up 1 or 2, if it became like 8.5 and it was combined touchdowns, I'd love it, because he probably will rush one in once or twice on an end around or something like that. So I'll admit, that makes me a little bit sketchy there too. So Rams to win the division, Stafford over 4,000 passing yards, and the Rams to win the Super Bowl plus 550 are going to be my official picks. And that Super Bowl pick's probably as square as you can get, but I'll be damned if I'm not at least putting 50 or $100 on it to at least get a little action because I just might do it. So that's for the 49ers. We'll move on to that team now. They have some additions and changes that they did as well. So last season, the 49ers finished 12-5, tied with the Rams, but the Rams ended up having, I think the 49ers actually lost the Rams, if I'm not mistaken, and that basically helped the Rams make the playoffs. Overall, for the 49ers, they just had an injured-riddled season again. Some stuff just wasn't fully going their way. I mean, even injury-riddled, they went 12-5, but they just had... It just felt like they didn't have their whole team together the whole time. And then, obviously, the Brandon Ayuk stuff has been going on, so that hasn't helped out either. So it's just been a wild, wild situation for them. So some coaching additions and subtractions they have going on. For additions, they got Raheem Morris coming in, who's going to be their new defensive coordinator. He replaced Robert Saleh, who left to go be with the Titans. Matt Eberflus will be the assistant head coach. KJ Wright will be the linebackers coach. And then basically, I'm seeing if there's any... Yeah, I don't think they have any... Other than that, they have like offensive line coach, tight ends coach, some changes there, but nothing like, special teams, OC, those are, I think, basically staying the same, but, because let's be honest, the head coach is the OC, but Raheem Morris is the big one that's coming in, being the defensive coordinator. So the fact that he's a defensive coordinator for the 49ers means 1 or 2 years from now, he's going to become a head coach again for somebody else potentially, because that seems how it goes for the 49ers defensive staff. So speaking of coaching additions, let's talk about some subtractions that they lost from the team. They lost Bryce Huff, Javon Hargrave, Malik Collins, Leonard Floyd. Hufanga went to the Broncos. Dre Greenlaw also went to the Broncos. Tre'Davious Ward was a guy who got lost between 2025 and 2026. Some of these guys, were given away last year. Because I was about to say, Ward was given away last year. Hold on. This list is a little... And Hufanga, I'm pretty sure, played for the Broncos a lot last year as well. So it's like, all right, thanks for being fully updated list. And then there's the whole Brandon Ayuk situation, which is kind of like, I genuinely, at this point, it's like you would think they'd want to try to get some compensation for him, but I don't even know if they'd even be able to with how loud and, I don't want to say obnoxious, but kind of he's being about like, hey, I want to go to the Commanders. I want to be a Commander. So we'll just have to see what they're going to be able to do with that. Some additions, they brought in Mike Evans, Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey's already been there. Osa Odighizuwa, cornerback Nate Hobbs. They re-signed Dre Greenlaw. Brought in some offensive linemen. And that Osa Odighizuwa one was a really interesting trade because it's really shocking that the Cowboys kind of gave him away. I mean, they were able to get a pick or two out of it, but that was a guy where you're just kind of like, oh. Like, I genuinely kind of, like, I thought he was going to be one that kept around for a while, at least. And I don't want to say build around him, but he's going to be, like, a key part of that defensive line. But then you look a second later, it's like, oh, I guess they're moving on from him, too. As for the 49ers schedules, their win total is over-under of 9.5. Just remember that as we're going through these teams. So you got the Rams to start, then Dolphins, at Rams. Look, I forgot we were pulling up the new list. Let me pull that up real quick because I butchered it with the Rams. Let's retry that again. So you got them going to the Rams, which is a game that's going to be in Melbourne at a neutral site location. That's just going to be so far away. Then you got them home for the Dolphins, home for the Cardinals, home for the Broncos. That is a nice little stretch after that. I'm not going to lie. Hold on. A little 3-game home stretch after going to Australia. Then they're away for the Seattle Seahawks. Then you get Monday Night Football against the Washington Commanders at home. Away for the Falcons. Bye week 8. Then you're home for the Raiders. Away for the Cowboys. Home for the Vikings, which looks like it's going to be another international game, I believe. Yes, I believe that is another international game. And then you're home for Seattle. Away for the Giants. Home for the Rams. Away for the Chargers. Away for the Chiefs. Home versus the Eagles. And then you get a flex game against the Arizona Cardinals to end the season, which probably at that point they might be sitting some guys, assuming that they are going to be a playoff team. My kind of expectations like that, just going through that schedule right there, I think 10-7 is definitely doable. So the fact that minus 9.5 and it's juice minus 146, I think that is definitely I think that's probably an over I'm going to be taking myself. That's probably, I like that number. I'll admit, minus 146. The minus 146 part, I'll admit, I do not like that. But I definitely do like the fact that you can get the over at 9.5 because looking through that schedule, I'd guess there's probably 10 wins. But even with the 10-win schedule, you can just tell by the Super Bowl odds, they're plus 1,900. Like, it's going to be a tough road for them. You got the Rams plus 550. You got the Seahawks at plus 1,100. Hey, guess, and then let's see, another NFC team, Philadelphia Eagles, Green Bay Packers. Then you get the 49ers. And hey, guess what? 2 of the top 3 or 4, they're in their division. So that's just going to make it just even that bit more tougher. But like I said, let's hop into the. I still think they're going to at least go 10-7. I think the Mike Evans addition is going to be huge for them. I think he's going to get a lot of fade ball touchdowns. I think it might be similar to Devontae Adams of last season, you could say. But the 49ers edition. So Brock Purdy, they have him throwing for 3,800 yards in their projections, 27.5 touchdowns. Don't think I'm going to be taking either of those, to be honest. Christian McCaffrey to have over 974.5 rushing yards. It's tempting, but my biggest thing is just he's had a big workload the last 2 seasons. So I'm a little bit nervous to take this over if I do, but it was one I was looking at. I'm like, yeah, I might take that because if he is healthy, he should be able to reach it. It's just the issue of him being healthy or not. And then if you look at his rushing touchdowns, over 8.5. That is another one where it's like tempting to take, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull the trigger myself personally. Mike Evans, you got him over 850 receiving yards. George Kittle, he might be back for week 1, but he might be limited reps, so that's why a lot of his stuff is not up. There is one, let's see if they have it up on another book. I want to see the receiving touchdowns. I'm trying to find, they don't have Mike Evans receiving touchdowns up. That is something I will be taking whenever those come up, most likely. It just obviously depends on the number, but I think Mike Evans I think it should be like Devontae Adams. He's going to get a decent amount of fade balls, so I'm going to look for him to have a good amount of receiving touchdowns. They don't have his number up for whatever reason. I have no idea why, per se, so that's something I'm probably just going to, like I said, I'm probably going to end up taking that. I do like for him to have that. The receiving for 850, that's a bit too much for me. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'd be more interested in just taking some CMC stuff and hoping CMC stays healthy because Mike Evans at this point, you know he's going to miss probably 3 or 4 games. So that is another reason where it's like I might want to take his stuff, but the conference winner, them for 49ers plus 960, division plus 305. To make the playoffs, they're minus 146. Do they make it a 10-7? The NFC is pretty decent, but I think this isn't. They didn't have Kittle last year. I think this team could make the playoffs. It's minus 146. That's basically what they are to go 10-7. So I guess it's kind of an answer of like, if their odds for them to go 10-7 is minus 146, and then them to make the playoffs is minus 146. You could borderline probably just take them to make the playoffs, because then if they make it at 9-8, hey, you don't have to get screwed by the win. So I might actually play that maybe instead of the over/under. That might be something we look into. Stage elimination, I'm projecting this team to they're plus 122 to miss the playoffs, which they very well likely could. I think they'll lose in the wild card, maybe make the division. If they make the divisional, they're for sure losing there, but I would think that they're probably going to end up losing in the wild card round, or maybe losing the second round. But that's about as far as I have them going. And then win-wise, it looks like they're projected to have about 3 wins, maybe 4 wins to start out their season. This is tough. I won't lie to you. Because I think the 49ers will probably lose the first game to start the season. But then you look at their schedule. They got Dolphins. I think they can beat them. Cardinals. And these are all at home, by the way. Cardinals, I think they can beat them. Then it's Broncos and Seahawks. I think I might go 3. 3 games. For them to be 3-2, basically, after the start of the season is plus 140. I think that is something I will probably jump on. I do think they'll probably lose to either Broncos, Seahawks, and Rams. I think they're probably going to lose 2 of those 3 games. I think they beat the Cardinals. I think they probably beat the Dolphins. So I think I like the 3 games of plus 140 in the first 5 games of the season. 4 plus 240. semi-tempting, but like I said, I just think they probably get caught by one of these other two teams. But overall, my expectations for the 49ers, if they can keep some guys healthy, might be good for them. Sounds like they're looking to build a new practice facility away from the electric substation. The whole biggest thing is they want it to be bigger. They want to have more stuff for their players and everything like that. Okay, we see what you guys are doing. I am curious a little bit if that is a part of the thing though, or if that played no factor. You definitely got to think it played some factor, right? But overall, I think this is the team. They'll probably win 10 games max, probably 11. I don't know if they're going to reach 12. If they do, that'd be a really amazing season for them. They're getting Fred Warner back healthy. They're getting George Kittle back healthy, albeit he is a little bit older. CMC coming off a big workload year. It's going to come down to the wide receiver room, and it's going to come down to health for them, which has just been a big issue the last couple of years. They just cannot stay healthy for shit. But that'll probably do for today, so let me give you quickly. These are all my bets for the NFC West Part 2. We got the Rams to win the Super Bowl plus 550. Matt Stafford over 4,000 passing yards. And then we got the Rams to win the division at plus 100. We got the 49ers to win over 9.5 games, which I might just take them to make the playoffs at minus 146. Maybe try to play it that way. And then we got Mike Evans receiving touchdowns, whatever those are. If I can get it around like 9.5 is probably where I'll be like, probably stop there. But past that, I think I might end up jumping on it still even then. But Mike Evans receiving touchdowns. We got 49ers to make the playoffs minus 146. And then we got the 49ers to win 3 games out of their first 5 at plus 140. Thank you all for watching today's report. I really do appreciate it. I'll be back in this feed next week. I might bounce back and forth NFC, AFC, NFC, AFC. I haven't fully decided that yet. If I come back with an NFC team next week, we'll do all 4 NFC divisions. I might jump to an AFC team just to bounce around a little bit, have a little bit of fun. But coming in next week, we got more breakdowns, more NFL news as we just get farther into the offseason. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. I will be back in this feed next Tuesday to go over either the AFC, one of those 4 divisions, or we have one of the 3 NFC divisions I might do. Not 100% sure on that yet, but you'll know by next week.